centerpiece, like on the middle one first, and then side to side to side.
My name is Julia Betancourt. I'm a disability rights activist, currently interning at the UN. And I'm really glad to see so many people here tonight who want to make the world a more accessible and inclusive place. I feel like sometimes we don't get enough people who are interested in making the world accessible, and I'm really glad to see so many people here who want to make this happen.
Peace TV reporters have been active at the UN headquarters since 2010, the age of former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. They are often invited to gather pictures and news about high-level meetings and events at the UN headquarters. We usually report live on the scene the events of dozens of countries, including the US, France, the UK, Israel, Germany, Russia, Egypt, Kuwait, Bulgaria, Ukraine, and Morocco, and the EU at the UN headquarters and their residences in New York. Our news reports have, in part, kept the international community up to date with the work of different governments so that people everywhere will know the great efforts and contributions of the UN to world peace, international affairs, and multilateralism.
Not that it matters to them, this is how they felt.
I sell these company, Don't Blink Magic in New York, amongst other things.
Is that place that was on 35th Street or something?
He just opened his own new thing.
Because you know there was that magic store on the second.
There you go.
See that?
You show there are no strings on it.
This is the resurrection
Yes.
life.
It reminds us of our shared humanity, which is more important than ever right now, and deeply resonates with the mandate of the UN. As the poem of Emily Dickinson so beautifully says, "If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain." Our heartfelt congratulations to the artists, and we're going to kick off now a series of speeches to just recognize their work and this important initiative. So to start off with, I would like to now invite the co-sponsoring entities from the UN, our Assistant Secretary General, Marta Helena Lopez of the Office of Human Resources. Marta Helena, over to you, please.
Excellencies, delegates, officials, partners, friends, guests, and dear colleagues, I'm really delighted to be this evening with you, an evening of celebration of celebration of compassion and disability inclusion. And as we recognize compassion, I do feel this is a key word really to mobilize support for full inclusion, dignity, rights, and well-being of persons with disabilities. I'm so grateful to be co-sponsoring this event from the Department of Management, Strategy, Policy and Compliance. And it's really great that after so many weeks and months together with my partners, we were able to have this week with you. By the two artists using sign language to express the Emily Dixon poem, one of my favorite ones. And the poem's words were also impressed in Braille on the stunning interactive sculpture that we see nearby. The poem, Compassion, resonates deeply with all of you. And Jennifer started with a few words, but let me wrap it up. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life, the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. What a poetic expression on what is service and compassion. And this exhibit really excels in expressing that service and compassion. And it also reminds us of the inclusion that we want within the UN system and to leave no one behind. By focusing on removal barriers, there is where we are going to achieve true inclusion in the United Nations. And it also means how much culture, as reflected in communications, in language, in the heart, reflects what it is to live in this world, fully inclusion with everyone. So as we celebrate this week, I do want to express my gratitude. I truly trust you will enjoy this evening and that this evening would leave a lasting impression on all of you. Thank you.
To everyone, it's really my honor to be here representing the Department of General Assembly Affairs and Conference Management and to be co-sponsoring this truly inspiring exhibit. Mark and Miggs, it is really incredible to see what you've done through sign interpretation and Braille, and two of the services that we provide to the meetings here at the UN. I think it's a great symbol and showing the signs of compassion, which promotes compassion and understanding through photography and sculpture. As I said, sign language and Braille, and it also aligns with our priorities under the United Nations Disability Inclusion Strategy to raise awareness of the need to remove barriers, to enhance the provision of accessible services for the member states and for all participants that come through the doors of the United Nations. And as we see the events happening, it's ever more critical to have a space for countries to come together. And so we, at the Department of General Assembly and Conference Management, expect that this installation will further enhance awareness and underscore the need for continued action to ensure disability inclusion in all areas of our work. We very much take to heart the motto put forward by persons with disabilities, that nothing about us without us, and strive to encapsulate this in our daily efforts. As we continue to make gains in enhancing accessibility for persons with disabilities in the meetings and conferences and events at the United Nations, it also requires that we continue taking action. And I think, again, having this exhibit and showing this to all that come through is very important. I just wanted to say we're also proud to be a sponsor and to manage the Accessibility Center, which provides assistive devices and braille printing upon request. And we work very closely with the steering committee on accessibility. I'm very happy to see the two co-chairs here tonight that you'll hear from. But again, this dovetails very nicely. So Migs and Mark, my thanks, along with Marta Helena, for your incredible rendition of the services that can truly enhance accessibility here at the UN. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. I would now like to invite Excellency Ambassador Christopher Liu from the Permanent Mission of the US to the UN and also the co-chair of the Steering Committee on Accessibility. Over to you, please.
Thank you so much for having me here. I don't need to tell anyone here tonight, especially everyone who works at the United Nations, about the many challenges that the world is facing at this very moment. And I can tell you it feels a little overwhelming some days. But it's in these difficult times that the work we do at the UN matters most. And it's in these difficult times that we need to find all the different ways to celebrate hope and kindness and compassion. And that's why I'm so delighted to be here. The US is proud to be the co-chair of the Accessibility Steering Committee, and we take on this leadership role because we know that inclusion and accessibility and equity doesn't just affect our work here, it has a powerful ripple effect that influences the cultures and the norms of the 193 countries that make up this organization. As co-chair, we advocate for accessibility for the people who work here, for the people who visit here, and for the billions of people whose lives are touched by the work we do here. The UN can be the shining city on the hill, the gold standard for others to follow. This exhibit wonderfully showcases the challenges to accessibility and all the many ways that we can overcome these challenges. It highlights the beauty of sign language and Braille and the importance for all of us to celebrate the need for more compassion in the world. We are proud of the progress that the UN has made to promote accessibility, and we look forward to working together to further that progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I would now like to invite Stephanie Thomas, the Honorable Secretary of State of Connecticut. Thank you.
So honored to be here tonight representing Connecticut and to celebrate the incredible work of these two artists. Migs and Mark, for me, are shining examples of the vibrant arts community we have in Connecticut, and I see many other, Westport in particular, artists here tonight, so I'm happy to see you here as well. I have the pleasure of viewing Migs's work every day because he's very kindly donated some art to my office when I took office in January, and I remain in awe of the talent, and I'm so glad that many people from around the world will have an opportunity to see both your work and what you and Mark have accomplished here together. When Emily Dickinson wrote the poem over 150 years ago, she could not have foreseen the turbulence and division that surrounds us today. Yet the theme of compassion is particularly apt for our times, reminding us that even in a world divided, we can find common ground in empathy and kindness. Art and poetry have an incredible ability to unite and inspire us. Married here together tonight with American Sign Language, I hope that everyone who visits this exhibit will find inspiration and take a moment to renew their own commitment to building a more compassionate world. Migs and Mark, well done.
I will now hand over to my co-moderator, Sergey, and he'll introduce probably the most wanted speakers, the artists.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And now we ask to speak our distinguished artists, the ones who touch us with their art. Mark Yukiv and Mix Burrows, please.
Mark made me go first. Hello, my name is M-I-G-G-S. Thanks. I'm here for Debbie Sorolla, our interpreter. There's so many people to thank, of course, the UN, who we've dealt with, Melissa Budnick and Orly Joshimek, if I get the names right, and of course Sergey Kashkov and Jenny Stanzel and Sarah and Julia. Anyway, it goes on and on. They've been so gracious and welcoming and allowed us to do this. And I owe an immense gratitude to Mark, who's been a great friend and a mentor and a fellow artist and a therapist, because this has been a lot of details to take care of, and he kept me in check, I think. And of course, this all started, I have to recognize the director of the Westport Library, Bill Harmer, who's out there somewhere, and Chris Timmons, who was the exhibit's director at the time. 6 years ago, this exhibit appeared at the Westport Library, and it was meant to honor the community that I grew up in, Westport, Connecticut, and honor, and in doing so, I wanted to make sort of an ensemble piece where they were, as a community, a chorus, raising their signing voices to express this poem about compassion. So that's Westport. Basically, it's a cross-section of Westport. All these images, and a lot of you are here. I'm so grateful for them to let me have photographed them, and it's beyond belief that you're all here watching this. Essentially, I don't think of this as an art exhibit. It's a poetry exhibit. The poetry of Emily Dickinson, the beautiful timeless poetry. It's the poetry in motion of sign language. It's the visual, tactile poetry of Braille. It's in that beautiful Braille wheel over there. And it's the power of all of us coming together like words in a poem to deliver, this message of healing and compassion that's needed so much.
What, where, when, how, and why? Most everything we do in our lives is answering these questions. The why is most important because there's never a correct answer. It's the one we give it. The existential why are we all here? The only partial answer that hasn't faded over time for me is we are all here for each other. When Miggs asked to take my portrait years ago, I didn't ask why. I instinctively understood the why. Miggs' masterwork includes us all in our diversity to speak to the ones least spoken to. Mantras, which is what the prayer wheel is about, mantras are calls to action to start each day. Embossed in Braille is the poem as mantra, a call to action for everyone. On this traditional prayer wheel, I learned trekking in the Himalaya is turned by hand every morning. 4 years of persistence was needed at the UN for Signs of Compassion to find its place among the missions of the UN. This wouldn't have come to pass without the help of many, that Miggs has already mentioned a number of names, but here at the UN, with the help of Melissa Budnick and Sergey, I don't think this would have happened. So why here? Why now? Why this? Our world is at an inflection point. Each time we don't hear each other, we are deaf. Each time we choose not to see the suffering around us, we are blind. Emily Dickinson takes us to this daily call to action. Words matter. Thank you.
Dear guests, we are continuing with the distinguished delegation of Westport. Honorable Jennifer Tucker, first select woman of Westport, has the floor.
So, is there any greater honor or greater joy for a leader of a community to be celebrating two residents right here at the UN, their work, their compassion, their dreams, their contributions, and to do it with so many fellow Westporters? It is an unbelievable, this is unbelievable. I think you all agree with me. Do you agree with me? And another reason why I think tonight is so special is it showcases two of many of the best attributes of our community. First, for those of you who are not Westporters, we have a long history of being a town and a community of artists. And so here we are celebrating two of our best and two of our own. And the other part of Westport that makes us so special, and we're still working on it, is a priority of my administration. One of the top 5 priorities is that we are a community where people feel like they belong. They feel safe. To Mark's point, they feel heard, they feel seen, and they feel welcome. And I mean that for residents, I mean that for visitors, I mean that for business owners. And we get to celebrate that here as well tonight with all of you. And so, on behalf of myself and the former First Selectman Jim Markby, who is in the audience, and Second Selectwoman Andrea Moore, who is also in the audience, we want to say thank you, Miggs and Mark, and we celebrate you tonight. You're the best of Westport.
Thank you so much. Now, I give the floor to Bill Harmer, Executive Director of the Westport Library.
Good evening, friends and distinguished guests. My name is Bill Harmer, and I have the distinct pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of the Westport Library in Westport, Connecticut. I am both delighted and honored to be here with all of you as we celebrate the artistic achievements of two members of our beloved Westport community. We are reminded that Westport, a town of 29,000 residents, holds a special place in our hearts. Our town's artistic legacy began in the early 20th century when artists from Disney Studios and faculty members from the famous artist school made Westport their home. In recent years, our community has evolved into a haven for authors, musicians, actors, producers, and executives from the entertainment industry. And this evening, we add a new chapter to Westport's artistic heritage. Tonight, we celebrate not just one, but two artists who have their work featured here at the United Nations headquarters. Miggs Burroughs and Mark Yurku, who have come together for an exhibition called Signs of Compassion, inspired by the Emily Dickinson poem of the same name. Miggs's part features 30 portraits of Westporters using American Sign Language to convey the 30 words within the poem, while Mark's contribution presents the poem in Braille influenced by his experiences in Bhutan. Dickinson's words of compassion, written nearly 150 years ago, remain poignant and deeply relevant, especially in these uncertain times. They remind us of the importance of understanding compassion and putting it into practice. Thanks to Miggs and Mark, we all now have a unique opportunity to explore compassion from multiple angles through literature, the visual arts, Braille, and sign language. Miggs, in pursuit of artistic greatness, has transformed a concept into an experience, offering us an exhibit that invites contemplation on many different levels. And for this, Miggs, we are all grateful to you. What started as an exhibit at the Westport Library just over 6 years ago now has found a global stage here at the United Nations, where it will tell a story of diversity, inclusion, and compassion. Thanks to the perseverance and forward thinking of both artists, their work will be seen and appreciated by a worldwide audience. Miggs Burrows is a Westport resident since 1950. Has made a lasting impression on every canvas, screen, and wall he has encountered. His artwork, including paintings and prints, have graced galleries from Boston to New York, adorned Wall Street lobbies, appeared on U.S. postage stamps, and has been featured on 4 Time magazine covers, including the one commemorating Richard Nixon's resignation. Additionally, he has generously contributed numerous logos and designs to local nonprofits, showcasing his remarkable talent. Today, he continues to inspire through his lenticular imagery that beautifully captures people signing words from a poem in real time. The exhibit is a testament to the power of art to transcend boundaries and unite us in the universal language of compassion. We thank both Miggs and Mark for their exceptional work and the journey that has brought them here. May this exhibit kindle the spark of compassion for anyone who experiences it. Thank you for inviting me. I invite you to explore signs of compassion and the remarkable artistry on display. Thank you.
You know, I became blind later on in life, so I'm not very good at Braille, but Mark, those big dots were so easy for me to read. So what a profound poem, and what beautiful rendering by Mark and Miggs. For more than a billion, right? For more than a billion children and adults with disabilities, accessibility or the lack of it, of communication, determine whether they're able to go to school, interact with friends and family, work, and participate in the community. And people are different, they communicate in different ways, and that's what is rendered here. In our day-to-day life, we generally do not realize or consider that people communicate in different ways. And here in the UN, it was established to promote peace, human rights, development, and communication is fundamental to it. And the barriers to communication, which prevent billion-plus people with disabilities to participate, lies in the minds of people. Right? The barriers are not in technology, they are there, but the fundamental ones lies in the minds of people, because as people, we design everything, right? Whether it's policies, buildings, technology, everything. And it's only by changing the minds of people that we'll be able to make a real lasting difference, and that is what this exhibit in my mind aims to do. And I really want to thank the artists and very, very importantly, our dear colleagues in DMSPC and DGSCM. These are abbreviations, but they mean a lot. the actually colleagues like Sergey and Jenny and Martelena and Sheriff work there, wonderful colleagues who have made this possible, to put it in a place in the UN where so many people will watch this. And if, as the poem says, if I can stop one heart from breaking, if this changes the mind of a couple of people who take decisions, I think it's well worth it. Thank you so much.
Distinguished speakers, thank you so much for your speeches which move us. Distinguished artists, thank you so much for the amazing exhibit. Dear all, please enjoy the exhibit. Thank you so much.